Peace usually isn't far away. Your mind is just too loud to notice it. You try to relax, but the second you sit still, your thoughts start attacking you. Reminders, regrets, worries, imaginary conversations, and worst case scenarios. And eventually you start believing every thought that enters your mind. But mindfulness was never about stopping thoughts. It's about changing your relationship to them. And once you understand that difference, your entire inner world starts to shift. The first thing to know is how thoughts are events, not commands. A thought appearing does not make it true. The brain constantly generates noise, predictions, memories, fears, impulses, and random associations. Suffering increases when we automatically identify with every thought. Examples include I'm failing, something bad is going to happen, I'll never change. You didn't consciously choose most of those thoughts, they just appeared. Mindfulness begins the moment you realize you are the observer of the thought and not the thought itself. The three traps: judging, feeding, and identifying. What judging a thought looks like is this thought I had of taking candy from a baby. Because we had that thought, because somebody's walking slowly in front of us and we say, what if I trip them, or what if I push them? Just having that thought, we judge it and say, that was a bad thought, I must be a bad person for having that thought. We identify and internalize it. So then, once we also have a positive thought, I want to donate to charity today. That was a good thought, I must be a good person. But once again, it's just a thought, and we give it so much power by how we perceive it instead of just observing it. Whatever can make you feel good can make you feel bad. So it's not about having an abundance of positive judgments on our thoughts, because then when we have inevitably that negative or wrong, unhealthy thought that comes across our consciousness, that will make us feel bad. The other trap is feeding thoughts, replaying them, arguing with them, building stories around them, turning one thought into 50 more. One thought can be one sentence, but we keep replaying it, we add to it, we question it, we want to predict, we want to solve. Therefore, we're investing, we're giving more energy into that thought, and it grows and grows and grows. And it only grows as long as we keep feeding it. But we can allow it to remain one sentence. The next trap is identifying with the thoughts. Because I thought it, it must be me. A passing emotion becomes an identity. We have the thought of, I wasn't successful here, so I'm a failure. But that's just a thought we had. But then we say, yeah, we start giving evidence. I am a failure because I didn't do this, I failed here. So all these randomly generated thoughts that might have come from memories, we bring them into the present, they sink into an emotion, and we identify with them, allowing our thoughts to have more and more control over ourselves. Clouds pass through the sky without becoming the sky. Thoughts pass through awareness the same way. We are just the observer. It is not our responsibility, and it is often unhealthy to identify, feed, and judge our thoughts. Because then we'll end up living in the clouds, living in our head, and not being present in the moment. I'm now going to go through a guided observer exercise. This is something that you can follow along with. You can practice after the video or on your own time, but it could be a core foundation of being able to see your thoughts without judging, feeding, or identifying with them. The steps are closing our eyes, don't force silence, just watch. And notice the next thought that appears. Maybe it's random, maybe it's uncomfortable, maybe your brain immediately says you're doing this wrong. But that's the trick. We're just noticing the thoughts and letting them pass. So as I close my eyes, first thoughts that come to mind are my body sensations. It's very warm today. I believe in the high 70s or 80s. Noticing some sweat. Wondering if this is a good use of time. I'm allowing it just to be one sentence long. What am I going to eat after this? Am I feeling dehydrated? It can be so peaceful when we remember we are the observer and not the thoughts themselves. Remember to breathe. Since I've been able to practice this for quite some time, I don't have many thoughts that come about rapidly, especially when I'm very intentional with being the observer. Your first experience or trial, you might experience a wave of thoughts that are uncomfortable. But that's how you know it's becoming more in your consciousness. We're just there to observe them, and we will see how often we have the thoughts and build the skill or muscle of just observing them instead of always engaging with them. Leave the cloud in the sky. We don't need to grab it and pull it down into our face, because then that's the fog around us. We lose clarity, we get confused, and our heads are in the clouds or in the fog. You don't create peace by controlling every thought. You create peace by no longer being dragged away by every thought. Being able to have anchors that can keep you into the present moment, such as your breath, engaging in progressive emotional relaxation, and engaging in grounding to be more aware of your environment around you. And circling back to your mind, once we have been able to divert attention away from it, we can revisit it with more clarity and a new tool to not allow it to overwhelm us or be controlled by it. But it is a skill. It takes time, practice, patience, and forgiveness, as with doing anything new. Your mind may never become perfectly silent. That was never the goal. The goal is being able to sit with yourself without immediately running away. Running away through escape, numbing, distractions, stimulation. I can't handle this thought right now, so I need to consume. But that doesn't bring peace, that doesn't bring clarity. That just pushes the unprocessed thoughts into the future. Then we suppress them again and again because we condition ourselves to do so. To observe without panic, to feel without drowning, to think without automatically believing every thought that appears. Because peace is not something you chase. It's something that becomes visible when you stop feeding the noise. And maybe that's why so many people spend their entire lives searching for peace externally, while the path to it has quietly existed within them the entire time. If something resonated with you, consider leaving a comment below and sharing what felt most impactful. To support the channel, you can like, subscribe, and/or share this video with someone who you feel might also benefit. Additional ways to support the channel can be found in the links in the description below. You will also find a link to my website, cravingfreedom.com, where you can access my ebooks. On the website, you can also find descriptions of what to expect from the ebooks. And if you feel ready to commit to your path towards freedom and are seeking in-depth guidance and support, consider applying for one-on-one coaching. Answers to frequently asked questions can also be found on the website. Thank you for your time.